Live.
We're live.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Today, 3, not 2. Welcome to Develop Your Mindset podcast. We're back this Saturday, and we're starting a little bit late because we had another podcast going, and then we had a lot of people here. Finally, we got peace, and then we can focus and do our own podcast, So today we have a guest. She's our one of the new member, recent, and Nanar, and she's the social media manager, and she's gonna be today in our podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello.
And we have really great line of questions, and as usual, you guys know whatever happens in the company, we talk about it. But this week we're kind of like I'm taking it another direction because recently I've been listening to a lot of uh, things that I was always thinking about, but like I've really start refining it in my mind because it's such an amazing information. So I thought we a little bit talk about it and kind of like put in our input and talk a little bit further, go down to the rabbit hole, and hopefully you guys gonna enjoy it. And this is number 81 podcast actually. And there's 19 more, man, for 200. And Luis, of course, is here, and you can.
Yeah, so as always, it's good to be here once again, another episode. And as always, we're going to be able to share with you guys some amazing content as we always do. And, today we have our guest here. So, you guys are going to get even more perspective as far as like what we're going to be covering today. So that's always great to have more than one perspective. The more you have, the more you're able to work with, and hopefully you're able to resonate a little better with one of us here. So without further ado, we can get started.
Yeah. So just recently, I do a lot of listening to books, to a lot of different mindsets. As you guys know, this is Developing Mindset podcast because in the beginning, we decided to put that name because we love to develop ourselves, our minds here. And that was the reason we kind of called it that. And then this is definitely another component of developing your mindset. And we're going to be talking about it. So we're going to be talking about a lot about pendulums. And we're going to talk about like, what is this? What is it? Like, how do you use it? And what happens when you do? So I have this question. At first, we're gonna kind of like go back and forth on this and try to just talk about it. Your potential is limited by your intentions. So I don't know if you guys want to go ahead and I can come in and out. Here we want to talk about potentials and limitations and intentions. So, and of course your, which is the person itself, because we can only develop ourselves, and it's much easier to convince yourself and like listen to internal voices than listen to somebody else and apply it to your own life. So for me, it's I know there is a potential. Everything has a potential. The company has a potential, and we're definitely not at the full potential, not even close to half potential where the company can be. And I've been working really hard. We're all working really hard to push it to the full potential. Full potential meaning we're gonna start making a lot more money, and we're gonna be able to afford to do a lot more because we're gonna have more money, and that's where the potential is. You don't settle with what you're doing. Like you don't be like, oh, thank God we have this and we're so happy. You should work always towards your full potential. Not that to say you should hire more people or bring more clients. With the same clients and with the same team that you have, you can push it to 2, 3, 4 times over that what the company is able to do, pull in, as in like write invoices and stuff like that. So that goes as well. It goes to family and all kinds of friendship and all kinds of things. So what is your full potential? It's you got to find out, and you got to work on it. And once you've learned what it is, you got to just push yourself. So and you should have an intention of doing that too. So I mean, I personally, I know exactly where I need to be, and I am pushing you guys and myself exactly to that direction. Eventually it's going to happen because it's going to happen because you're working on it. And when you put time into something, it becomes intuition in reality. So this podcast is about uh, bringing forefront this kind of conversations, and hopefully you guys gonna hear it and want it for yourself, and leave comments down below, because I love to hear what you guys to say, and we can probably learn something from you guys too. So if you guys want to go with this, what do you understand when you hear your potential is
Limited by your
limited by your
intentions.
intentions?
Well, you want to
How do you say it?
You know,
You go first. I'll let you do the honors. Okay. Well, the way I understand this point here is so as far as the intentions go, to me that those intentions are pretty much the purpose that you have behind whatever action it is that you're taking. So when you're working hard, when you're pursuing something, there's got to be some sort of purpose that you're going after. And I think that purpose will ultimately dictate how far you push your potential as well, because the bigger that purpose is, the more hard work it's going to take, the more patience, the more devotion, the more commitment. And so because of that, you can expand your potential much farther, because there's just going to be more work involved. There's going to be more of it's going to take more of you to get to that purpose. And so really that purpose can really either push your potential to extraordinary limits, or it can really keep it at a very small low level type of a potential, because you won't really have to push yourself if your purpose is sort of small and it's not as hard to attain. So then you won't really push yourself as much, or maybe you will but not as much as you could. So
You just reminded me of belief system. People don't believe that it's possible for them, or they can do it.
of course
The belief has to do with what you're saying too.
yeah, this is definitely just pretty much one thing that will affect that. Of course, there's things like that, like the belief system as well, that you got to work on. But right now we're just focusing on that aspect of putting a bigger purpose for yourself in order to expand that potential. In case right now maybe you feel like you can do more, but perhaps you're scared of putting a bigger purpose, because that would mean a lot more work from your part. Or perhaps you haven't found something that you really love and that you're really passionate for, so you're not really willing to sacrifice, because there's always sacrifices involved. You got to sacrifice time, you got to put in the energy, you got to postpone things, you got to say no to certain things. And in order to do that, you got to have a purpose that actually means something to you, that you're passionate about, that your heart's in it. And of course, you can develop your purpose around that. And so yeah, that's pretty much what this point means to me.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely you're in a different place than us, and you see this completely different, obviously. And can you say a few words about it, like
Yeah,
how
for
you see
sure.
it?
I mean, I already think that like you and Lewis already pretty much paved the way, like properly to the proper explanation to this. I just think it's also like very important to remember that there's like no limit to your potential. Because I feel like especially nowadays a lot of people have become very complacent. Cuz it's like we're born and we grow up, we go to school, we're supposed to do good in school. We graduate from high school, we have to go to university right away, we have to get into a very nice university to get a very nice paying job. If you don't go to this university, oh, that just means you don't have that much potential to be like a CEO, for example, only because you didn't go to like so and so. That means you're going to get paid less. That means you're not going to be able to live comfortably that much. So I just think it's very important to remember when it comes to potential and intentions that it's never like limited, like, and like nothing can define your potential except for your mind and your intentions in itself, because you just always have to ask yourself, where do I intend to be like 10 years from now? Where do I intend to be like 5 years from now? And that in itself will actually spark like ambition and motivation in you. And on that journey of you trying to reach that goal in your mind, you're going to learn, wow, I actually have this much in me. I have this much potential. Like for me, example, never in a million years did I think I would be talking to like people
Bravo.
on a live stream all of a sudden. Like this is my first time and I'm going live
Yeah.
with this. So I mean, see, never doubt your potential. Like whenever you set your intentions, you always need to set them with the mindset that there's always room for trying new things, for just surprising yourself with how much potential you actually have in you. And it's because of this, like these type of people, that we have like CEOs, we have like these kind of singers or like actresses or actors. It's not everyone who is a very big success story went to this school, this high school, this university, or they came from this family, this legacy. It's all within you. It's all within your potential. And
It's for sure. That was really good.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's a mindset. You have to get to that mindset. Sometimes you have to go through some hard times, some difficulties, and eventually you're gonna most likely crack or crash, and then you have to rebuild yourself and come out of it. And then you have to promise yourself you wanna go after your full potential, and you have to have intention, right? So once you get there, there's no stop. No one can stop you. You can stop yourself. Like me, when I hit that rock bottom emotionally, and I rebuilt myself, and like when there is a moment that there is a fear of we're going to be closed for one day, or the jobs are not going to be enough for the company, or something weird like that, I have this internal motivation, internal what do you call,
Like, no, what's happening?
what do you call that, the temperature when you put it up and down,
Thermometer. Yeah.
it just jumps by itself. I don't even plan on it. I don't even think about it. It just like boom, and then I'm just like here putting extra hours. I'm like working like it's like I'm running and there's no stop. Like there's a race, but it's all in my mind, right? So like once you get there, once you want to achieve something great, and then you're working towards your potential, it's like, you don't stop. There's you don't ask anybody what to do, how to do it. You just do it. So this is all. It happens, and it happens a little bit differently to everybody. It doesn't happen the same.
Yeah,
way,
totally. Because everyone is different.
Yeah. And then when the opportunity is there, you're gonna just jump. And then sometimes you're just gonna jump and figure out if the water is too hot or too cold or whatever. If you're gonna bring in a temperature and you're gonna gauge it, and it's all like crazy. That could mean years going by, and then you're still doing that. Like that's nonsense. Meanwhile, your competition already jumped and he's successful.
Swimming, yeah.
This is where this whole thing goes, like that. Anything else, please?
No.
All right. The next one we have here is do not follow pendulums. Do not get stuck into energy vortex. Energies are sometimes invisible, sometimes you feel it, and they have vortexes, right? And they get really big, they get really strong, they can pull you in sometimes without even you wanted to get in. By the time you get out from it, you might find yourself really depressed and unhappy, because a lot of these pendulums work in a way that it's an energy field. It's like you see everybody buying this one shirt that became very famous, and then you're like, I want one. You go buy it one, and then you wear it twice. Third time you hang it in your closet. You probably don't wear it next 3 months. and one day you wonder why you're not wearing it because you want it so bad. Obviously, you fell into the vortex of pendulum, you know, and that's how the pendulums works. Uh, so not that to say that product is not good. Like that product has its own owner, which is most likely it's not you. You just got into this vortex and you wanted one and you got it. Now you don't feel like wearing it because it's not you. It doesn't represent you, and you have to be really careful from this kind of vortexes, this kind of energies. It's getting all the time. It's getting all around you activated. So this is something that I just stumble on, and I'm really enjoying listening to this. I feel like this is another way of explaining so much that we already know, but it's so amazing that we can explain it in another way. Like, so this in this podcast we're going to hear a little bit about that. Obviously, we three of us, we have different point of views about this, and then that's going to be great. We're going to hear it. Yeah, so basically don't get stuck into crazy vortexes of energies that you don't believe or you don't like. You should follow your own, which we're going to talk about that in a next one. And yeah, so follow your heart, follow your mind, and be careful with pendulums. And if you guys don't know this word, that's pretty much you're gonna find out what it means, and most likely you guys want to start listening to it, learn about this little bit. I think we're gonna most likely do another podcast about this. We're gonna be more ready for like to dive in even deeper into the rabbit hole. And but this one's gonna be really good. You're here. This is very different.
Yeah.
And I think this part here I'm pretty much done. How do you
Yeah.
see that? Or you?
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say entirely to not follow the pendulums. I mean, I did a little bit of research on this, and pendulums in of themselves. I mean, at some point we're gonna have to follow some of them. And the thing here, I think, that's more important about to understand about pendulums is to become aware of them. Really educate yourself on the pendulums and understand what they are. And from there, that's when you actually go and pick your own, because the problem becomes when you are sucked into a pendulum that doesn't necessarily align with who you are, at your core. It doesn't align with your values and who you are as a person. And at that point, you pretty much become sort of a slave to the pendulum, because now they pretty much control your actions, because in order to be part of that pendulum, you sort of have to follow a specific set of rules that go within that type of system that the pendulum is built around. And so you have to become aware of what it is, and then go and proactively pick the ones that you actually resonate with. But in order to do this, obviously you have to understand yourself, so you do have to do some introspective research as far as you go, and what you want to really stand for, what you believe in, and really what you want to actually dive in and stand for, because ultimately that will dictate how you actually manage your energy. And of course, this really applies to pretty much everything, even the things that you may think that are good for you and that are great for everybody may not necessarily be what you're thinking. A good example for me to give about this will be personal development itself. Like when I started studying personal development, that in of itself is a pendulum. There, like people going in there, and like it's like a whole community of people just wanting to grow and actualize themselves. But the thing is that
Yes.
when I did that, though, at first it wasn't with the right intention. It was with the intention of just wanting to feel superior to the people around me. So I was studying personal development to feel like, oh, like I'm better than these people, I'm better than those, because I have information that these other people around me don't, and I have access to things like of that matter, and that in of itself was kind of cool. But eventually, I realized that this isn't necessarily the right way to go. And to this day, I still pursue personal development, but it's not for the same reason anymore. Now it's more for like, of course, it still has that growth element, but I still, I'm here sharing, and of course, this is to actually, pursue a much bigger purpose that's outside of myself as well. And so, yeah, so you just got to become aware. As you said, we're going to make a separate podcast where we go deeper into the pendulums, and that one I could talk a little bit more about that. But for
Yeah,
now,
that was really good, the way you put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, in my case, what I have to say on this point is, like Lewis said, there is always going to be like a point in your life that you're going to realize that whether you wanted to or not, intentionally or unintentionally, you ended up following a certain pendulum, because you can, like, there's so many of them. Like, there's music or fashion or just in like you and how you feel every single day. Because concerning the energy vortex that we're talking about in this point, you actually have to deal with this every single hour of your life. Like, when I woke up today, I was in such a good mood. I'm like, oh, today's gonna be such a good day and whatnot. And then halfway through the day, something might have happened, and then all of a sudden, my energy would I dropped down, like, literally. And then that's when you have to be like really strong. And this is where your mindset also actually comes in, because I mean, I consider myself as someone who doesn't really fall into following pendulums. It did take a while for me to become like this, but you can become like this. And when you do, it's like you have more control over your mind, so that when you do get stuck in like an energy vortex like we're talking about here, all of a sudden something sad happens, something just like, just sets you off. Instead of you going completely down in like a whirlpool of sadness and negativity, and then the rest of your day just goes like completely wrong. You're like, okay, wait a second, let me try to get myself out of this vortex. One sad thing happened doesn't mean everything else is going to be like bad about that. So considering energy vortex, once you do learn that everything in your life is like a pendulum, like when something happens, for example, the movement of like feminism, for instance, everyone starts talking about it. The fashion industry gets into it. The singers get into it.
Yeah.
All the singers make songs about like feminism and whatnot.
This is good.
And like even and like clothing stores. I don't think I should name clothing stores, but like certain clothing stores, very well known clothing stores, they sell shirts that say like feminism or like quotes about feminism basically, and everyone needs to go buy that. So all my friends, they went and they bought shirts for feminism. I didn't, because I don't know, I just didn't want to. And then because I'm like, I don't need to buy a shirt to like say that I support feminism, or I don't need to buy this shirt to say that I support this or that. It applies to anything, like any movement, any like belief system, anything. And so my friends were like, how come you don't own this? It's trendy. And I was like, what do you mean it's trendy? I'm like, am I gonna buy it because it's trendy that I'm wearing this shirt that says that, or because I actually believe in that? So that's the important thing. You shouldn't fall into that. And once you are able to not fall into that, like I said, in any aspect, that's when you also won't get stuck in an energy vortex, because you'll be able to realize, oh no, it's happening. The vortex is trying to suck me in. We're not gonna let that happen. The mind has to start working. We're gonna get through it, and you just get up and then you continue your day and everything is fine. Which is perfect.
That is amazing. You're definitely, this was different perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think like that, but I do know what you're saying is it's very true, because a lot of people, that's a pendulum. That's like a big one. Millions of people all around every country, not even the world, and billion people following that kind of pendulum. It has its own energy, its own vortex. It's so crazy. Like you can't even touch that negatively, because you're gonna get electrocuted, and and yeah, that's not gonna end up good. Nothing's good gonna come out of that. So yeah, that we did. So that was good, great. Do not be obedient. That's another way of coming to this pendulum. Be your own master. So here, obviously, we're going down the line really quickly, kind of like talking about how this thing is working. What is it doing? What it's doing is uh, 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 getting you, uh, getting you, getting your attention and your whole mind into uh, some place where you could be losing time, or you could be working on your problem and you're not, and then you're getting all excited, happy, like you're winning something, but in the reality you're not winning nothing. It's just like your mind is getting into that vortex of whatever is happening there, whether it's a sport team winning, people are screaming, yelling, like they scored, like you didn't score anything. What are you excited about? Seriously. So a lot of people go there. They just want to be there. They want to see great team playing against another great team. Other people go there. We call them fans. Like they are being like sucked into this crazy vortex of pendulum, and you have to become your own master. You have to understand what is going on, and then you have to control it. And when you are in control, you are your own master. So this is something where it's happening always, all the time. People talk about this, but this is very different perspective. So you have to uh, don't become obedient of something because other people are doing it. Especially you have to be careful if a lot of people are not successful, a lot of people are not rich, a lot of people don't have everything they want. So if you want all those things to happen for you, most likely you want to hang around with people that they are creating good pendulums, like positive pendulums, and you just don't want to get into having for like friends, buddies, or go places where there are bad pendulums, and that's not going to help you to go to where you wanted to go. So you have to become your own master. You have to become aware of this is happening all around you, and when you wake up in the morning, you understand this. When you go to sleep, you go to sleep with understanding this, and that's where you're going to start making difference in what you want to happen for you. So yeah, become your own master.
Yeah. So here's the thing about like pendulums. I mean, I used to pretty much have this sort of, once I did the research, it kind of like, okay, I associated that with, with, because I pretty much think this way. I used to think, now I can put it more into context, I guess. But
Mhm.
the thing about pendulums, I mean, if this is like a brand new concept to you, you still aren't necessarily aware of, which ones are good for you and which ones are not. I personally would, pursue whichever one you feel like, is calling you, and go and test it out. Go and dive into that pendulum and see what it offers you. Because I don't think you should necessarily, right here, that we're talking about being your own master here. To me, that really means to not really take anything at face value. So, just because your friends or the people around you are telling you to not dive into that pendulum, I think ultimately you should make that decision for yourself.
Mhm.
And even if the people around you are telling you that it's bad, I think if you feel it inside of you to go and pursue it, go pursue it. And by pursuing it, perhaps you find out that, okay, this wasn't the pendulum for you, or perhaps it was. And so I think in order to become your own master, you really have to go through that experience and actually take that decision. And yes, sometimes the outcome won't be as favorable as as you would want it to, but at least you can learn. You'll learn what pendulum you necessarily resonate with and which one you don't connect with, and by that you can become a more intelligent, more aware person as far as that goes. That way you pursue the correct ones, and you don't necessarily end up just becoming an obedient person who pretty much is told what to do as far as like what pendulum to pursue and which one to not, and you, of course, you become your own master by you making that, ultimately making that choice and going to whatever it is that you want to go.
Yes.
Yeah. I really like how linked all these points are. The first one is linked to the second one is linked to the third. This actually being your own master, that's so important. And there's actually like a very nice book that I've read. I actually got introduced to this author through a group of artists that I really like. If you guys have heard of it, it's called Into the Magic Shop by James R. Doty. I'm sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong. He basically, when I read that book, I was like, oh my god, like this is basically translating everything I have in my mind on paper, and like this is so cool. He basically just talks about that there really is nothing stopping you other than yourself. Because if you kind of think about it, let's say there's a really trendy song and your friend comes and tells you, oh, I heard this on the radio, everyone is listening to this song, listen to it and tell me what you think. If you listen to it with a group of people who really like that song and made it really clear that that song is really nice, you're kind of gonna be like, oh yeah, it is nice, and then you go home, you listen, and you're like, oh, I don't like this song sucks, I don't ever want to listen to it again. Whereas if you listen to that song on your own and you discover it on your own, and you're like, okay, it's trendy, but I kind of don't like it. So when you're already put in that atmosphere of everyone following a certain pendulum, like I said, whether it be in fashion, in music, in movies, anything, even religion or like go educational system, whatever it is, you're kind of gonna, I guess by nature, try to blend into it because maybe you still haven't really understood that no, you are different, everyone has their own preferences, everyone likes something, everyone doesn't like something, everyone is just different, thinks differently, different opinions. And once you do realize that and you're not afraid to actually voice that and voice that, you know what, maybe 50 million people like this song but I just don't like it, maybe everyone likes to wear this but I don't like to wear that. Once you're free to do that and you are comfortable with doing that, then that is when you start to be your own master and you don't fall obedient to the pendulums in the world. And that's actually really important because that's like the first step. And once you do become your own master, that is when you realize your full potential to a certain extent. Because, like I said, your potential is like, you don't know how much potential you have because it's unlimited. But once you do become your own master, you will realize that, oh, okay, so this is me, this is what I can do, this is what else I can do. Because no matter what, when you do come to anything in life and you have to make a decision and you're not sure about this decision or you're not sure if you like this or if you like that, you may go to the news, you may go to a blog, you might see what other people have said about it. If you want to buy something from Amazon, you look at reviews, be like, okay, a lot of people like this more, this is the best seller, let me buy that. But if you actually take all those out and the only thing that you're going to use to make a decision is your own mind, that's when you realize, oh wow, like there's so many outside things, there's so many like trends, pendulums, outside influences actually affecting you and the decisions you make, which in turn actually affects your life in the long run. So yeah, that's what I had to say about this.
So next one is very, very important. It's going to describe what pendulum is and how it works and what you should do to start your own pendulum and or get out of some pendulums that they're destructive. Uh, Unity, heart and mind is such a rarity. Now, obviously, if you are a person that you already connected your heart and your mind together, you look around, you see a lot of other individuals, people all around you that they have not achieved that yet, and the age is not it's not a factor here, and it could be 50-year-old, 70-year-old person has not had achieved that yet, so so the thing, this the way it works is here, the way it is working is, your mind it's we hear this a lot. Your mind is gullible, right? And then your mind could get sucked into vortexes of pendulums, and you start following this and that and that. You start putting posters in your room, or like you start buying all these brand names, and like you start listening to certain music that your friends are listening to, and on and on and on. So meanwhile, if you notice, there are people, you see them, their hair is a different color, they're wearing weird clothes, and they're very unique, very different. Those people are using their heart, which means they are creating their own vortexes, their own pendulums. They're listening to their heart. They're not using their mind to listen to outside forces. And if you wanna become unique and your own person, you have to listen to your heart and then do your own thing. And obviously, when you first do, you're not going to be successful. No one is. You just have to learn who you are, learn yourself, and you have to dive in really deep, because I mean, we're not going to live 300 years old, so you don't have too much time. It's now, and your now is most likely 40, 50 years, and it's over. And so you have to learn how to listen to your heart, and not fall into destructive, bad pendulums, and become angry person. And people are gonna kind of like, they're gonna distance themselves from you. If that's what happens, you have to understand this is what can happen, and you have to pretty much control this. And become, when you become your own master, that's what it is. You just start learning about these things, and start to not letting things go out of hand, or get to you. So this is something where that's why you have Rarity saying end of this little line here, because not a lot of people had achieved this by their own. Because I mean, a lot of times you need some kind of knowledge, some kind of information to work on yourself to get to that point. Not that to say this doesn't happen. Somebody living in a village, and somehow they get to this point. You can. This is all for us, for human mindset, and especially living in the city, and this all craziness is not easy, because you're every day, you wake up in the morning, you go sleep, constantly you're getting bombarded with all kinds of pendulums, like all kinds of information. Listen to me, buy my clothes, I'm the master. And in reality, you have to listen to your heart. You need to become your own master. That's a rarity.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, essentially, yeah, the pendulums are everywhere. I mean, right here, we're pretty much
Creating our own.
We're one here. This podcast itself is one.
True. I was thinking about that. I didn't say it. Now you're saying it.
But
the good ones though.
Yeah.
You don't need to conform yourself. If you're just there, listen to us. Let's have a talk. Let's get to know each other. Yeah.
Giving good information out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so unity. So I believe there is unity within, a specific pendulum. But I think due to those pendulums, ultimately, in the entirety, in the entire scope of things, I think that ultimately does create division between people, because everybody is sort of devoted to their pendulum. And once you're really devoted to that, you're really devoted, like, at a passionate level. So because of that, whoever is the opposing pendulum to the one you believe in, that in of itself creates sort of a war there. Like, you feel like that need to battle the other one, like take him down, and so yeah, that's why I would say unity within the pendulums can exist, but outside of that, in full unison, that might be a little bit complicated there. As far as like the heart goes, of course, definitely the heart is extremely important. Just like like you said, the mind can be very gullible. It can be trickable, and yes, of course, the pretty much. Usually, like the more advanced, pendulums have like their people. They have like the people at the top, and the leaders of that specific
Oh yeah.
movement, and
You have
so
to be invited to their
and so
group.
those leaders are really in charge of really expanding that pendulum and making it bigger and bigger. And the only way to really do that is to gather up more people, so that the more people there is, the more energy there's devoted to that pendulum. And then because of that energy, it keeps functioning as, and it keeps getting bigger and stronger. And so really the only thing that can really separate you from really getting sucked into one that doesn't necessarily benefit you ultimately is to really listen to your heart and really connect with it and realize, how do you feel? How are you feeling by, devoting yourself to such a pendulum? Like, are you actually happy? Are you comfortable there? Do you feel like you're actually providing value and you're receiving value in return? Because if not, then that's perhaps not the one for you. And so, like, another thing he was saying, you're not going to live forever. So you really have to be very selective when it comes to these things. And really the only way, my opinion, to be selective and such at least, well, one of the aspects is to really listen to your heart. And of course, there's I believe there's more, but obviously I don't want to get too deep into it, as we will make a separate podcast on it. But
For
yeah,
sure.
that's pretty much.
Yeah, this is an amazing information that we are doing a lot further research on. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Um, like they said, obviously, pendulums are basically built to attract you. They are built in a certain way that, like Lewis said, that once they do get bigger, they just keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they themselves become an energy vortex. When like a brand starts, whether it be, let's talk about jewelry because we are a jewelry company, so a very well-known jewelry company. It didn't start like that. It started by something smaller, and then someone bought this, someone bought that. They branded themselves, they did this, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh my god, I need to own a ring. I need to own like a bracelet or something from that place." And then a lot of people, like a majority of the population, when they do want to buy jewelry, whether it be for Christmas, whether it be for a birthday or Valentine's, coming up Valentine's, like, I need to buy from that store because that is what that company has built. That is a pendulum in its own. So it's very important to remember that when you are your own master and you are able to unite your heart and mind, you don't let one overpower the other, you will actually realize, you know what? That company isn't the only place that I need to buy from. That artist isn't the only one that I need to listen to. Like, especially when it comes to me, like when I want to buy anything, whether it be clothing, whether it be jewelry or anything, I don't directly go to like the big names. I like look at the local businesses. Oh, this place looks nice. Oh, like, because there's so many local businesses here that don't have that big of a pendulum, that big of an energy vortex, because they still don't have that big of an audience in it, and they still might even have like prettier designs, better quality clothing, better quality jewelry, or maybe like a small, not well known artist has like way more meaningful songs that resonate with you more. So it's very important because when pendulums are built and they grow bigger, this is also where kind of like marketing also comes in, actually, because your emotions, like when people market to your emotions, they always end up winning more, because it is kind of known that humans do tend to go uh, according to their emotions a bit more, and sometimes the heart just basically overpowers the mind. But when, especially in music, actually, especially when you actually like a very like artist and whatnot, because I have friends, they really like a very well known group of artists, and then immediately as soon as you like that group of artists, the company is going to be like, okay, they like them, we're getting more popular, we need to put out more stuff, we need to put out more albums, more merchandise, more shirts, and we can overprice them a little bit, because even if we do charge $100 on a sweatshirt, it's okay. They're still gonna buy it because it says the name of the group on the shirt. That's basically what happens. That's basically when your heart is overpowering your mind. You're gonna be like, you know what? I don't care if this shirt is sold for $100. It has the name of my favorite band in there, and I like them. I'm gonna buy them. That's basically what happens when one overpowers the other. But when your heart and mind are both like working in balance as much as possible, you'll actually realize that, oh, you'll actually see like how pendulums work and what they're doing to try to get you into it and whatnot. So yeah, it's very important to have that balance. Like anything in life, it's very important to have balance in everything. That's yeah.
I mean, I love balance, but as much as I love balance, I love imbalance too. Like, once you decide that you want to be successful in something, most likely that's gonna make you stop doing something that you love.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're getting out of balance. You're becoming one-sided balance, and that's going to be the most important thing for you.
Yeah.
And
But that's more like, like in like work and your goals and stuff like that. That's actually good because that's when you know that what you do want to work towards is like your ultimate goals. You're going to put all your energy into that, which is good. That's like good energy. But whenever like pendulums try to suck you in and like try to be like, no, we want your emotions, okay? Because we want you to pay like $150 for something that we can make for $20. That's when you got to keep your balance, people. You got to keep your balance.
so the next one is very important because the news uses this.
Yeah.
Anything negative that gets a lot of attention uses this. So it goes like this: you can create your own pendulums. Be careful not to injure people with your negative energy. This is true. We're gonna leave the negative part out. We don't like talking about negative. I just wanted to put there because as a pendulum, it can actually create that negativity too. It's not only positive pendulums or group pendulums. Like everything is a pendulum. It just the energy starts going. A lot of times, one person goes really. I don't know. You've been into a room. It could be family or friends or whatever room where one person is very angry. Suddenly, you feel like the whole room energy shifts, and then that pendulum, like everyone becomes quiet or like really worried or something. So those kind of pendulums, you have to be very careful not to injure people emotionally. Not injure like blood or something.
Yeah.
But emotionally it could be hurting people, so you have to be careful with that. But here what happens is, like, a lot of the times news uses this. They understand very well. They come and talk about something really bad, really negative, and they just talk about it nonstop 3 days. They create this crazy amount of pendulum, and the whole freaking country gets sucked into it. Everyone's worried. Everyone's confused. It's end of the world. 5 days later, everybody forgets about it. Some other pendulum starts. Like if we go back 7, 8, 10 years ago, and then we count all the pendulums that we went through, it must have been like 1,500, if not more. And what happened? I mean, not much happened. Life didn't stop. Whoever died. Whoever's living, they're living. Like whatever's happening is happening. If you don't get sucked into it, pretty much you are not part of it. You can create your own pendulum, but like we said, just be careful. Don't start some bad negative pendulums. And you have to be, I guess this is more like a little bit warning there, because
there's enough negativity in the world. Don't add to it.
Don't add to it. So when you're starting something, make sure that's going to be helping you and your family, your friends, your surrounding, and those are going to be, expect, how do you say, like, well, shit, I forgot the word.
Oh well.
Like well received, I guess, pendulums, and people will jump into that kind of vortexes and want to help, want to create it bigger, push it forward, and that. So, yeah, you got to do the right thing.
Yeah. So as far as negativity goes here, I'm gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction
Do
here,
it, man.
and say that yes, when like I was saying in the previous point, when you actually choose to be part of a pendulum, there is this that level of devotion that you have towards the pendulum, and I think at first you may, if you're not necessarily aware of how it actually functions, you may devote yourself entirely, like with passion, like to such a degree where you'll create some sort of
This is next.
a little bit of a hate towards the other pendulums, and whatever pendulum is opposing that pendulum that you originally are pursuing after. So in that case, if you're not aware of it, you can end up actually spreading this negative energy onto the opposing pendulum. Whoever's against your whatever it is that you are devoted to. Maybe you're into like I don't know, healthy eating. So maybe your pendulum is to dive into that world of healthy eating. So by doing that, you may end up like hurting people who are on the opposite side, who don't really care about healthy eating, who just eat whatever they want. And so you may end up like saying things that, as a byproduct, you might just be spreading that onto these other people, and you may be hurting them unconsciously. So it's important that when you actually dive into the pendulum, to really have that level of awareness, and of course have empathy as well for the opposing one. That way you actually understand what's going on here, and you're very mature about it, to the degree that you're not going around and just slamming people with your own belief as far as like whatever pendulums you've selected, and trying to like overthrow the other one, and or trying to convince the other one to join yours, just because you believe that yours is better than the other, where in fact it's just they're all pretty much neutral. You can pretty much pick whichever one resonates with you the most. For some it's going to resonate, for some it's not going to really matter at all. It could be like, it could even be like success and against people who don't really care about success. It could be people like that, and so you just gotta keep that in mind. And so yeah, like it could just happen as a byproduct of you just doing that, or you could be affected in the other way around. So you got to also be aware of that's what's happening, and of course protect yourself, of course, from like the opposing whatever it is, so that you're not affected negatively as well, where you start to dive into that negativity as well, because other people can pull you into their pendulums, and start making you doubt of your own belief system, and then you start getting like really like passionate and very intense, and it starts creating this battle between people. And so it can become very destructive to some point if you're not aware of what's going on. Like friendships can be destroyed, empires can be taken apart, companies can fall apart and stuff like that. And so things that you really work very hard for can just fall apart if you're not aware of these things. So yeah, that's the direction I'm going to stop there,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so that we'll talk about that more in the
For sure,
podcast.
there are negative pendulums, and then vortexes, and if your mind gets to that, and then you get sucked into it, and then those could create some negative condemnation, which is like something bad will happen, and then another bad thing will happen, another, and then you're like, what the hell's going on? It's only bad things happening to me. Like you need to get your mind off of that and
Yeah,
start putting yourself into another pendulum, and just hope like eventually that's going to dissipate, because if you don't pay attention to a pendulum, it will dissipate. It won't stay there, because it only it's there because of we're putting attention to it and giving value to it, and then there are more people coming in and putting more attention to it, and then that's creating the vortex. Then like, but you just want to get yourself out of that and just go into really good mood, good vibe, good pendulums, and eventually that would dissipate, and then that bad luck, strict whatever, that's going to disappear by itself. That's pretty much how that works.
Yeah, because pendulums, they just have so much energy and they are a vortex. Because just think about it in a way that if you want to go and do hypnosis, for example, what is he basically going to do? He's just going to hold a pendulum, for example, just going to do same movements consistently, not back and forth, sideways, until he gets you in like some sort of trance. This is basically what pendulums are, especially when it comes to politics. When we want to talk about the negative energy, they actually kind of use it to their advantage, because as soon as they say something negative, you already feel so weak. In the case of some news, for example, like when you hear something negative and every single news channel talks about something negative, you as a human being, you're like, oh my god, life sucks, and you feel like you can't control anything. And that's good for them, but it's not good for you, because you basically succumb to them and to whatever they say, because you're like, well, I can't do anything about what's happening in the world, so like, what am I going to do? But they're going to like that. The people who are, you can say, higher than you in the pendulum and on the energy level of that, they're going to like that, because as soon as you get negative energy, you're going to feel lower, you're going to feel weaker, and you're going to listen to them more, and you're going to follow them more, and they're going to like that, because they're going to feel more in control. They're going to be able to be more in control of you. Again, just like fashion, just like music, as soon as you like a certain artist, they just make you feel so good. And that could be true, like, don't get me wrong, because it is very nice to listen to music and you resonate with certain artists, but it's always very important to remember that there are many of the pendulums out there, especially those that focus more on negative stuff, and like those that focus more on marketing and whatnot, they always want to imbalance you, so that as soon as you feel like they are higher than you and you kind of just basically follow them regardless of anything. So it's very important to keep that in mind.
I like the part you said, imbalance you, which is like I was envisioning in my mind. It's so, I know so many people, they are out of balance. They like, like how you lose your balance and then you just,
Yeah.
it were, yeah, like, like where you have your balance thing here. There's a
The third eye?
no, there's a name for it. Anyhow, I know people, they do have that and they're not even aware of it.
Yeah.
And then you try to help them and they have all kinds of stories and excuses why they are the way they are. I'm like, you don't have to give me this story, because like you are covering your own
Yeah.
misunderstandings about what is going on.
Yeah.
And like, no, you shouldn't care about your stories, like, pretty much. And that's so true.
Yeah, once you, like we said previously, once you realize that you should be able to control yourself more, control your mind more, you'll actually understand and see what certain pendulums are. All of them are bad. Certain pendulums are like doomed to you. And then when you do enter into a case like that, in that case, that person isn't like the master of his mind yet, or isn't trying to yet. So he or she won't be able to understand that yet and get themselves out of that vortex. But when you do, it's like a whole different world. Like, there's so much happening, and you're like, oh my god, like,
I know what you're saying, but yeah, one word I remember came into my mind is blaming. Blame the whole world but yourself. Look at the mirror, pretty much, and everything starts with you, ends with you. So that's how you have to look at it. I guess we go to the next, which is, we kind of talked about this, but I think this is important point. That's why I have it down here. Follow your heart and be your own master. Be unique. Uniqueness, that's where the pendulums takes life.
Yeah.
And then when you do a really good job, great job, other people will come and want to support you, and then that starts getting bigger pendulums. And if you like, what is uniqueness? Uniqueness is you're not following somebody. Um, if enough people like what you're doing, then that pendulum could go bigger, could go into the mainstream. How does mainstream comes up with a design or idea? They come up from uniqueness. Where is uniqueness come from? From individuals. Individuals are doing their own. They are their own masters. They're doing their own pendulums, and some smart person sees it, takes it, brings it to the market, and market it. They market, and people, they get into that unique person's pendulum, and this becomes huge. It could become millions of people, and that's where they create new company, new whatever, and there's a lot of money making there, and then a lot of things happening there. So uh, everything starts from unique. Be your own master, and become really good at who you are, what you do, and that's where you can start your own pendulums.
Yeah. I just want to quickly say something before I forget it, because what he was just saying, those that have set trends in any field, um, where did it come from? Like he said, like when you see a new piece of jewelry drop, when you see something, a new song drop, or this drop, or this politician said that, or whatnot, like where does that come from? Like he said, that comes from an individual. And what happens with pendulums is maybe you're wearing a ring, but you don't know who actually designed it. You just know that you bought it from that brand. But who actually designed that? Whose idea was that? And that's, like he said, that's when pendulums use marketing. That's when they try to just market it, and it's like, because no matter what, when it is a very well-known company, for instance, again, I'm going to use jewelry because we are a jewelry company. When it is a very known like jewelry company, when people want to buy something for their wife, they're not going to wonder and ask, oh, I wonder if they actually designed this, or if they just took it from an individual and they're not giving that person credit, because they're not going to care, because that's what their marketing is like that. They marketed themselves so good. They created such a big pendulum, such a big energy vortex that whoever sees them or hears about them, they just suck them right in, and they're like, the customer's already going to think, I just need to buy that, no matter what, because so many people out there still aren't free from that. They still aren't free from, like, they still haven't freed their minds in that sense to actually understand, wait, this design must have come from some person. So maybe this company didn't actually give that much credit to that person. So it's always important to remember that everything starts from the quality of having something unique about you. Because every single thing in this world, the couch, the light bulb, the live stream, YouTube, everything just started from like a random idea from a random person. And over time, because of pendulums, they just got basically branded and marketed in such a way that they kind of discredited the origin of it all, the essence of it all.
Yeah, I remember I was going to say something. I think maybe you can explain this better. Like pendulums are also writing a book, right? Like, how do you start writing book? How do you start your own pendulum? You just do it, and you wrote a bunch of books, and maybe
Yeah.
you can explain that a little bit, like how the pendulum starts. And obviously, you don't succeed. You succeed. How does that go?
Yeah, so obviously, if you want to create your own pendulum, of course, it all starts with an idea, with pretty much a purpose, something that means a lot to you, and you go and you create it. And it's pretty much as simple as that. And then, but of course, you always want to add your own unique touch to it, and of course express, in this case, like writing a book. When I wrote, the books that I wrote, I wrote them in a way where, they all had a part of me in there, and I wrote them in a way where, my choice of words was put into that book, the way I understand things. And of course, I also kept in mind the audience, who I wanted this book to go out to, and who I wanted it to resonate with the most. And I think that's really important, because when you're creating something, when you obviously you should know that you won't be able to attract every single person in this world with your pendulum. That's just not possible. However, you should have a specific audience in mind, and you have to be sure that whatever audience you pick, you have to make sure that that pendulum is, it goes to that specific audience, and that specific audience is very happy with whatever it is that you're creating. Now, of course, right here, going to the point of following your heart, and of course, becoming your own master. I think it's important that, yes, follow your heart, obviously, to make the right choices as far as, like, what pendulums you select. But I think ultimately, as far as like having bad ones and good ones, I'm going to say something here that might be a little out there. Maybe I may have to do a little bit of more research as far as that goes. But in my understanding, like, the good ones and the bad ones are usually due to they come from beforehand, before you even have this awareness of such pendulums existing. So obviously the bad ones would be the ones that, they suck you in, and they suck you in without you even realizing, without you being conscious of it. And so because of that, you're going out there, you're like a little puppet, and you're being like you're getting your strings pulled by whatever pendulum you decided to go and dive into, and you're not even realizing what you're doing out there. Like you're maybe you're supporting a brand, like, with your heart, but you don't even understand that brand really well. And so you're very unconscious of what you're doing, and so you're just out there, like just doing all this stuff, but deep down it's not really making you happy. It's really, what it's really doing is just you're just out there trying to, like Nanar said, you're trying to like be part of something, you're trying to belong. And that in itself is a very bad dynamic, a very bad way to select your pendulums, just to belong. I think ultimately it comes down to you finding the pendulums that ultimately make you happy. And actually, I have my book of genuine happiness, and in that book, actually, it pretty much just covers this. It actually just covers how to actually remove the things that are getting you stuck, and that are actually like pulling you into following those pendulums that are not good for you. So, but like after you have that awareness, I feel like every single pendulum just becomes neutral, and you pretty much just have a choice, like where you want to dive into. I don't think any particular uh, pendulum is good or bad. I think it's just really up to you, what your values are, what your belief system is, and what you ultimately decide to do with your life, whatever your purpose is. For some people have a certain purpose, and that purpose will align with certain pendulums. This other person might have a whole different way of living and experiencing life that makes them happy. And ultimately, I think we should all just have respect for pretty much everybody's choice of purpose. And pretty much it, you go, you do that, you let everybody do that, and you just focus on yourself, focus on choosing the ones that make you ultimately happy, and that you feel like those are meant for you.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something. I'm gonna add to this one more thing, which is be your own master, be unique. Meaning, like pendulums created by energies, and sometimes those energies, people get united by an idea, and that idea could mean you have to become part of something, you have to spend money to become part of something, and you, without knowing people each other, when they see each other, like for instance, you see somebody wearing the something that you bought, it's a brand name, you're like, oh, you're wearing that too, and you feel this instant connection,
Yeah.
right?
Oh.
We're unique, we're special. In reality, you're not unique. You are in this vortex of energy.
Like, ask them, why did you buy it?
Yeah,
Why did you buy it?
I mean, you didn't know that person. That person could have came from some other country, and then just the sheer of, like, you're you gave up your uniqueness, and you're not your own master. You become connected in a weird way, in
Mhm.
in that weird pendulum that it's happening there. And one day that fashion will end, something else starts, then that pendulum dies,
Very quickly,
dissipates.
yeah.
It's a crazy, like, how it works and what it is. It's so intense. Definitely we're gonna dive in much deeper than this
Yeah.
next time around. That we are at the last question, because this is Developing Mindset podcast. We'd like to close it with that. Here today we are going to close with Developing Mindset on uh, 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 your own energy field. So what is your own energy field? Obviously, you start, and you keep it going. Um, you blow your own flames, pretty much, and that is your pendulum. As long as you're blowing on it, it's gonna have fire, and it's gonna stay alive. As soon as you stop, it's gonna dissipate. That's how these energy fields work. So if you have something in your mind, if you want to start something, you want to create something, whether your own or you believe in something, you find that place that they are equally believe in what you believe in, and you want to become part of that pendulum. um, you got to make the choice. You got to go for it. You got to do it right, and hope for something amazing to come out of it. So either you're going to start the energy, or you're going to become part of energy. Pendulums are very different. There are multiple sizes and shapes, and as long as everyone's on board doing the right thing, then that pendulum is going to most likely become bigger and bigger and bigger. And and that's how brand names created. That's how companies created. That's how family gets created. Everything. So develop your mindset about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So so develop your mindset on creating your own energy field. So of course, it's important that you choose the right ones. Of course, educate yourself on it. We will be making a podcast separately where you will learn even more as far as, like, how they function, and how to pick them correctly, and stuff like that, right? But as far as this goes, yes, definitely you want to be putting your energy in the right place. That way you're able to provide the right energy, and at the same time receive the equivalent as well, in return. Because ultimately, that's really what it's about. It's about we have this energy trade-off constantly, and so you can't just receive all the time. Of course, you got to invest energy, as far as, like, maybe you are working hard towards something, so you got to put in that energy into whatever it is that you're doing, and devote yourself to it, to that whatever pendulum it is that you're going after. And of course, you're going to get something in return, as far as, like, you growing yourself, or perhaps you're doing it for a company, or you're building some sort of product, or something along those lines. uh, Eventually, that's what you want to do. And yeah, I mean, building your own energy field, as far as you creating your own pendulum for yourself, it's pretty much amazing. If you have a purpose, if you have some sort of idea that you want to put out there, and that you feel like a lot of people can actually benefit from it, you want to create a good pendulum that people can actually benefit when they come into it. Definitely go for it. Even if nobody knows you right now. Start it anyway. Uh, Everybody pretty much starts that way. Nobody has a big fan base, and nobody starts with a big pendulum. It all starts from a small one, and then it
Mhm.
just builds up as time goes. And yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like it's always just important to remember that you're you. There's like no one out there like you. There really is no one who's going to be exactly like you. You're just you. You're just so unique. So, and it is also very important to remember that pendulums aren't bad, but the type of pendulums that we like explained, just always make sure that you don't get sucked into their energy too much. That you forget that that, oh, okay, I shouldn't fall into their vortex that much. I should just still say me. I should still say myself. I should still do the things that I want to do. I should still buy the things that I want to do, because everything needs to have a pendulum. Like, especially if you're in business and you want to open a business, you kind of need to create a pendulum. But it's always important for you to remember, you as like the business owner and the workers in that business, as well as the consumer, that you don't have to do this or you don't have to do that, or you don't just have to buy from that person or that place, because there's just so many out there. Like, if you look at the jewelry industry, just here in downtown Los Angeles, there's so many jewelers. There's so many jewelers. If every single person in the world was so into pendulums, and that the certain type of pendulum where they should only buy from these three jewelers, then none of these people here would actually have business. So it's very important to remember to be your own person, to be in tune with yourself, and to make decisions based on your own preferences and your own likings, without any like outer influences or like mainstream media and any of that, whether it be mainstream music, mainstream like fashion, or news or anything. It's just always stay in tune with yourself. Always do what you really want to do and listen to yourself. Find that balance within you. That's really good. Like in my case, when I want to listen to music, for example, I do like a certain group that is very popular worldwide, but I don't go in and over myself to buy merchandise or buy this or buy that to name myself a supporter or a fan, for example, because I like their music and I listen to them because their music makes me feel a certain way. They make me feel more confident. They introduce me to new ideas, new ways of thinking. That's what I do. Like in that really big pendulum of not the so-called not that good of a pendulum where they kind of want to suck you in and take all the money out of your wallet, I was still able to create my own little tiny pendulum within that big pendulum and be like, you know what, I'm still gonna listen to these people because they make me feel good. I connect with them and they just help me overall as a person. That also applies to clothing. That also applies to jewelry. Like I only buy jewelry from people where I know, like, okay, this person designed that, or maybe it's like a local business. I want to support them because I know this person, he has this talent and he started this business because he really wanted to. So, you know, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there and I hope that made sense. Maybe you can relate too.
Man, you made me remember so many things I want to talk about, but I'm not. We're gonna end it here because I feel like if we dive deeper, this rabbit hole is very, very, very deep,
Yeah.
and it's unendless. Basically, this whole pendulum is dictates our lives and our minds and hearts. We need to understand this, and if when we do, we're gonna do better choice. We're gonna become better version of ourselves, and we're gonna do better. So definitely, we're gonna do a lot more research on it, and then we'll write a lot more things to trigger us to go deeper, but also a lot shorter. So the conversation is short but much deeper.
Mhm.
I'm going to design it like that. We can maybe do it together. And yes, definitely look into it, you guys. This is something that it will help you decide a lot of things in your life. And we'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the show today? Leave
Yeah, what do you
comments down
think
below.
about me? How was
And
I?
and about the third person, no,
Yeah.
and yes, you were great. You are, I don't know, lot of people are not easy in front of the camera, and you are, and you know how to explain yourself
Yeah.
well too. So
You know
um,
what? How about you guys? Like, because there's like 3 people here, each one of us, had their own perspective. Make sure to like comment or like leave a like if you actually resonated or connected with anything that we said, because that would be pretty cool. Because we want to see like what you guys think, because this is a really cool topic. So
yeah, this was really good. I enjoyed today. This was yeah. We'll do definitely further research on it. And Luis,
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, it was a great topic, definitely to cover, and I can't really wait for the big one. Next podcast where we can go a little bit deeper, because I believe there's a lot of things that we left out in this one that we could potentially cover in the next one that could help you understand this topic of pendulums a whole lot better, and so that you're able to apply it properly into your life and actually make a difference in your life and start pursuing the things that you actually want to pursue. And so, yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. Of course, we had a guest, and I think it was amazing. It was a great experience, and yeah, man, give this video a like if you would like to see her again right here in the
Oh.
podcast. And
be nice, guys. Please be nice, okay? Can we see
Um,
okay,
snack?
you,
Feels
you,
like
you
Yeah.
just
personal.
knocked Nala out of the view.
Oh,
we'll wait until they adjust the camera.
sorry. No.
No, Lamar's still in there.
Yeah.
What? I guess.
Okay,
So
And
yeah,
she's back.
like
kind of.
kind of.
Wait.
Wait.
Kind of.
I'm
Okay,
back.
there.
I'm not
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, she's back.
All right.
Yeah, my name is Nana, guys. If you didn't catch that, Nanar. It's very easy to say. It's nice to meet you, people. Like you
Oh.
said, leave a like if you guys like hearing me in this podcast.
Yeah.
You can leave a dislike. It's okay. I'll understand. But remember that it's my first time. It's a
Yeah.
live stream.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys for being here, watching, and for the future.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Wait, no. We gotta do our own little thing though. Since
Okay.
like social media part of it, like we said, we are a jewelry company, so make sure to check us out on social media if you guys want to. You guys, we are on Instagram, it's at Kabarti Jewelry. We are on Facebook, it's also under Kabarti Jewelry. Check us out. Tell us what you think. We're always open to hear from you guys. You can DM us, you can email us, you can call us. We'd love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you personally as well. And, so that would be really cool to check out. Especially now for Valentine's Day. It's very nice to remember that we do have a newsletter. So when you do, just put your email. You will get cute little deals, especially until Valentine's Day. You will be the only one to get it, only if you've subscribed. So make sure to check that out. Don't forget it on that aspect.
Awesome. And we will be leaving the links down below. Mr. Lewis here will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be links down below to our social media, so you guys can follow us here on the podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and of course there'll be a link to our book, the 10 Stages to Skill Mastery, as well as all the other books that I wrote. You can find the download links down below, and yeah, subscribe, and we hope to see you in the next episode. Make sure you don't miss it, because we're going to go deeper into what we spoke today. We just kind of scratched the surface here. We're going to go much deeper in the next one, so don't miss it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's happening?